What's up, YouTube? This is TheBagSlapper coming at you with another initial thoughts review, this time of the new indie game, SPINCH. It's designed by a renowned cartoonist, Jesse Jacobs. Super psychedelic, super trippy, with music produced by James Kirkpatrick, chiptune, Game Boy type music. Really awesome stuff. Anyways, if you're new to the channel, if you like this video, hit a like or subscribe button. So let's get into it. So let's start with the story of the game, the rough plot. Essentially, you are an organism called a SPINCH. You've got babies, and in this game, colors are also living organisms. And colors love to eat SPINCH babies. Kind of like a Donkey Kong, kind of like a Mario. The colors are constantly hoarding your babies. And throughout the game, you're trying to find your babies on each level. You know, there are multiple worlds, like a classic platformer, multiple worlds that you got to get through. And at the end of each world, you fight a color boss. That's what the story is. And it's a classic. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good driving force for the game. And it's an interesting and creative story. So I think from the perspective of story, this is a classic platformer story, and they used it for a reason. It works. Let's quickly talk about the controls. They're fairly simple. You have left, right, jump, and dash. That's it. And for the most part, it's fairly intuitive. One issue that I have personally is the fact that you actually gain momentum with the dash. And in the Steam community notes from the developers, they make it clear that the more momentum you have, the harder you are to control. And so this is something that I've noticed personally, is that something's a little off when you're sprinting and then you're in the air and you're trying to control the character in the air. It's probably the momentum. I don't know for sure, but I know that I've been having issues with it personally. And it's kind of frustrating throughout the game. Another thing is when you're on a platform that's moving left to right and you jump up, you do not keep the momentum of that platform, which is counterintuitive. Whenever you're hanging onto a wall as SPINCH, you're slowly sliding down. And so if you slide off the bottom of a wall, sometimes throughout the game, you'll slowly drift. You'll still be holding on, but you'll be holding on to air. You'll be holding on to nothing, and you slowly drift diagonally across the screen. So I know that there's definitely things that need to be hashed out in the game. Whether the momentum thing is something that will be addressed, I don't know. I don't think so, but it is kind of frustrating. But overall, you know, when I die in this game, it's mostly my fault. And it's just because it's a difficult platformer. Once you get towards the later worlds, towards the later levels, it is truly difficult. It's challenging, but it's fun. Finally, let's talk about the game design. Overall, visually, it's incredible. It kind of reminds me of Cuphead in terms of how pleasing it is to the eyes visually. It's a different type of vibe. Obviously, the Cuphead is like an old cartoonish type of vibe, and this one is more of a retro, pixelated, but detailed psychedelic look. Personally, I love it. Honestly, the visuals are incredible, and they are complemented by the music as well. There are multiple times. I mean, I've downloaded the original soundtrack of this game. There are multiple times where at the beginning of a level, a new song comes on, and I just stop and I listen. Oh. This song is dope. That's how good the music is. So it complements the gameplay, and it makes the gameplay, honestly. The visuals and the audio are just spot on in this game. I don't think they could have done a better job. The characters are interesting. The enemies, there's always different enemies, and they're trippy, and it's just fun to play, to see what else there will be. What is going to be next? What are you going to see next? What are you going to hear next? It's really a fantastic game from that standpoint. I have one critique on the game design. It would have to be the boss and bonus rounds. So the bonus rounds, they're the same every time. You've got your cousin, the cousin of SPINCH, throwing his babies down, and you got to catch them. And so sometimes he's throwing a baby, sometimes he's throwing something that hurts you, and they're similar in size but different in color. And so you have to make a split-second decision on if you're going to catch the baby or avoid a harmful projectile. And it's the same every time. And I think they could have been a little bit more creative. All they do is they change the ground, so you got to avoid obstacles. But I think they could have been creative with bonus rounds. They could have made them different each time, a different challenge each time. And that would have made the game, I think, a lot better, honestly. I think that small change would have made this game a lot better. And then the same thing with the boss battles. The boss battles in bonus rounds, you get bombs. If you pass them, you get bombs that you can use in the boss battles. So it makes the final boss fights harder. But it's the same thing every time. The boss battle, you got to fill a cannon full of your babies and potentially a bomb if you got it in the bonus round. And that's on one side of the level. And then on the other side of the level, there's a button to shoot. And you shoot the SPINCH babies and bombs at the bosses. And that's the same every time. I don't know if it changes. The bosses obviously move differently after each world, but it's kind of the same thing over and over again. And I think they could have been more creative in terms of the boss battles. But that's just me. That's just my 2 cents, my critiques on the game. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, the design is amazing. So those are my initial thoughts on the new game SPINCH. If you're new to the channel, I work on a 10 slap system, 10 being the best, perfect game. As you can tell, the visuals and the audio of this game are incredible, but there are a little bit of issues with the movement, some glitches. I would have liked to have seen a little bit better or more innovative design when it comes to the bonus rounds and the boss levels. So with that being said, I give this game 7.5 slaps. All right, drop a like, drop a comment if you got any comments. I'm going to be continuing to play this game, and I'll have a final review after more gameplay. Let me know. Join me on stream. Peace.